with our feet in parallel on the mat, roughly hip width apart. So you really aren't looking at too broad a stance, right? To do check in on yourself, you're looking to have those feet just directly underneath these hip bones here, which of course is your skeleton of your hip bones, not the silhouette, what's going on top. This is where the hip bones are in the pelvis, or rather the tops of the thigh bones are within the pelvis themselves. Shoulder blades back and down, and just breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth. And maybe cast your mind back to some of our other classes we've done and anything that resonates for you. Maybe the breathing, the slightly slower breathing, maybe the pause as you inhale before you exhale, maybe the sense of the weight into the heels as you breathe in and exhale. Perhaps finding that space in this thoracic cavity, breathing into the lung space, expanding the ribs to the sides as you inhale is something that responds or resonates with you. Maybe the sense of growing through the crown of the head, the lift, the spaciousness at this lovely pelvic area as well, lifting and imagining everything lifting and finding itself some space above the thigh bones. Maybe you're someone that needs to consider what they do with their rib cage. Perhaps you know that you arch into your lower back, so you need to still think about breathing in and growing through the spine, but keeping that rib cage connected to the front edge of this pelvis here. So not lifting and arching by throwing your chin back, but growing through the back of the spine, through the back of the neck, through the crown of the head, and away through to the sky above you. As you exhale, bringing that belly to spine, drawing in around this midsection, finding that hug of your core. With the breath leaving your body, we're shrink wrapping. Remember, almost that sense of drawing and hugging in around the spine, but also bringing up under the pelvic floor area too, if you can. So let's go ahead and do 4 more breaths in peace, finding what works for you as you wake up your body this session. Digging around and seeing what feels like it's supporting you this morning, perhaps areas you feel you need to refresh. And 1 more breath in as you exhale. And bring yourselves back into the room if your eyes were closed, if not, just focusing and holding there for a moment. So let's go ahead. We're going to go into a double arm float. Keep these shoulders relatively low so we don't lose the connection of the ribs. As you breathe in to prepare, we exhale as we lift these arms to the ceiling, keeping those ribs down, as I mentioned, and the shoulders low. So not looking to lift up this upper body, just keep them nice and pulled down from the armpits as you bring the arms by your sides. And 1 more time, breathing in, exhale as you double arm float to the ceiling. And release the hands back down by your sides. This next time you can add on the double heel raise if you wish. See how that feels for you, just warming up around those toes, ankles, and the lower limb below the knee joint. Breathing in, exhale, warming up the calf muscles as you lift and engage them, and releasing back down. Still talking to your shoulders to stay low. We're going to do 2 more. As you lift and lower, try and make sure you're heading onto all those toes. Remember, guys, you're not just rolling onto a little toe, if it's available to you, of course, and release back down and pause. Well done. Okay, so find that position that you got at the beginning of the class, that nice connection here, shoulder blades back and down, letting the knees head down towards the toes, popping your hands onto the front of your thighs. Bring that belly button in, okay? So as soon as you've got these hands here, remind that belly to just gently draw in, because we're going to try and find some space in the lumbar spine here. Slide now, sorry, beg pardon, take your chin into your throat space and slide those fingertips towards your knees. Keep that belly in. Imagine yourself just rolling over the front of that belly space, fingertips towards your knees, and still that belly should be pulling in, like you feel you're engaging and opening that lower spine out behind you, okay? And then from here, bring your heart space forward and sink the belly button down now towards the floor. So it's almost as if we're doing a cow stretch, okay? So you're letting the belly head towards your kneecaps in the floor, and now really stick that tailbone out. Tuck your chin back into your throat space, slide your hands back up your thighs, standing now facing forwards, legs are straight. We'll do that 1 more time. Bending the knees towards the floor, but pull the belly button in, hands towards the front of the thighs. Chin into your throat space. Keep that belly pulling in and under the rib cage. Imagine it there sliding in under the ribs, down towards your first little half roll down, fingers towards your kneecaps. Pause here, putting a bit of rest onto the thighs, and pull your belly button and heart space forwards and slightly arch into that lower back. But you're really supported on these thighs here, guys. So just having a bit of a stretch, and then bring your chin back into your throat space. Pull the belly in, and then roll yourself back up into standing. Well done. Okay, so now we're going to let ourselves just pop our hands on the knees, and I don't mind too much where that back is, but we're just going to use these hands as guides as we knee circle around. So just finding a little bit more mobilization higher up the legs through these knee joints by circling the knees. Okay, don't be too alarmed if there's some clicking going on. That does tend to happen, but just go within your range. Okay, reversing direction when you can, heading around the opposite direction. Okay, maybe feeling some rolling over the ankles, maybe even feeling some rolling through the toes, and maybe a little bit of a response through the hips, hip joints there. As you come back to center this last time and draw yourself back up into standing. Okay, now we are going to come into a knee raise. If you know your balance is a bit of an issue, please go ahead and shuffle towards a wall or something near, maybe a sofa or something, a chair close by. Okay, so once you've had time to get there, we're going to regroup, find that core, weight into your right foot, and we're going to lift the left heel, maybe progressing into a toe touch, and then maybe progressing into a knee raise. Now, this may just come to hip height to begin with, and that's fine. Okay, you may also be able to just draw this knee in a little bit closer towards you. Be aware of any misalignment. Do you feel like this left heel comes tucking across the body? If so, you might need to just grab around the outside. Just give it a little bit of a draw into alignment. Release that leg back down. If that was just a knee raise or toe touch as well, that's fine. Pop the heel back down and pause, taking the right heel off. Again, finding your core. If you need to switch for your support, go ahead. Perhaps it's toe touch. Perhaps it's a small float or a knee raise if you can. Maybe you can go ahead and again pull this knee in towards your chest if that's available to you, keeping the lower part of the limb aligned with the outside leg. As like when we do our single leg stretch, this same hold, just keeping this lower limb attached, aligned, and then hopefully attached, and then release that leg back down. We're going to do one more time either side, okay, folks? So breathe in, exhale, left heel raising and into your level. If you want to head up into your full knee raise, go ahead if you can. Pausing and letting that leg come back down onto the right side. And switch. Arms, and drawing that right knee into your chest. Align, grow through the crown of the head, pull the tummy in, shoulder blades back and down. Just reset in case you've curved forward to grab that knee and pause. Okay, so we're going to just do a small hip opener. If, again, you don't want to come into your raised leg or the leg balance is a bit of an issue, you can go ahead into a small toe touch and just let your left leg just open out towards the side while easing the right hip back so you're not turning. You've got that point of anchoring. Remember, we've talked about this before. One point is anchored, whereas the other leg heads to the side. If you're into your knee raise, go ahead and take your left leg into knee raise and gently pop your left hand on the inside edge of your knee, and you're opening that leg out towards the side. Quite a challenge for the supporting right leg, foot and ankle. Okay, so focus on the grounding through the whole of the leg, core in, so nicely stacked. Okay, shoulder blades down, crown is up and reaching towards the ceiling. Well done. Bring that leg to center and place it back down. Switching sides now, so over onto your right. Again, perhaps it's just a toe touch and ease out of the leg towards the right, or bring your knee into your knee raise. Not too much higher than your hip, really, unless you've got great flexibility. So you don't need to come back up into that hug position, taking the right hand, easing that thigh out towards the right. And again, just think of the messages through this left side. No matter how high you've lifted that knee, okay? Just think about the messages on this left, through the sole of the foot, through the leg, the hip, nice and spacious if you can. Try not to dump down into this hip, lifting through and out the top of the head as we just pause and hold, breathe, and bring your leg back to center and release that leg back down, having little shake-offs that you need. Okay, so we are going to just develop a little bit from where we were last week with our stride forwards and hinge work. So like we did last week, taking a stride forwards, and we struggled a little bit with this front leg not bending. Okay, there was a desire to go into a sort of a calf stretch or a knee or a lunge position. I want both legs to be straight. And the stride is not too vast, okay? So you have to be able to stride enough so that both heels down and legs are straight. Hands on the hips, and we're going to go ahead and find this hinge that we looked at last week. When we went into our arm circles, we hinged forwards. We allowed the body to release into, looking down towards the floor, but trying to stay almost flat back if you like, okay, if you can. So that belly again needs to pull in and find some space, shoulder blades still back and down. Okay, now from here we are going to take it a little bit into a soft front knee and back leg lift. So let's go ahead and walk that one through. The front leg is going to now soften into a bent position, and you're just going to push your weight onto the front leg, and your back leg is now going to lift slightly off the mat for a single glute activation and lower, breathing in and lift. Now just with the knee raise, you may find it's just a small hop of the leg off the floor, and that might be enough for you. Otherwise, you're really trying to focus on finding that balance as you lift that back leg and lower. If you need to pop your hands out towards the side or wherever's comfortable for you for your balance, okay, that's also fine. Or perhaps again, just as we did before, a small support by your side if needs be. Last two. And final one. Okay, so that's a huge piece of that front supporting leg. Pop your back leg down, releasing your front leg now into a straight leg position and upright body into your start position. Switching now to face the other way, or just switching legs. Okay, so you've got your stride forwards, legs are straight. Okay, so you're feeling grounded. That's the purpose of starting here. So you're feeling really super grounded, and both feet, just double check they're facing down the length of this mat. This back foot, for a lot of people, really wants to turn out, okay, which means you're going to find it very difficult to do your hinge. So feet are together facing forward, and parallel facing forwards. Grow nice and tall, find the space in that pelvis, in that lower spine as you head forwards. Notice perhaps that tightness at the front thigh. And maybe once it's just fired up slightly and shouted at you, maybe just have a moment to breathe and pause and see if you can then just ease a little bit further forward and get that hinge at the hips. From here, we're going to bend that front knee slightly so it comes off lock. And the back weight now is going to come in. You're going to shift the weight to the front leg, and the back leg is going to come into a point where we head into our single leg lifts and lowers. Again, checking that alignment. You've got that weight in the front leg. It might be a small hop as you lift, breathing in when the leg is down, exhale, lift, or looking to head to roughly hip height if you can. Lengthening that leg nice and long as you lift and lower for just two more, or a small hop, baby hops, last final one here. And placing that back leg behind you, ease the heel back down as you straighten the front leg and lift your upper body into your standing position. Well done. All righty, we're going to take a step towards the back edge of the mat, and we are going to roll down here. We are going to try with a straight leg roll down unless you know that it's not for you. If you have any issues in your lower back, any osteoporosis issues, you please work on your soft knee roll down where you're just trying to hinge or slightly roll down supported here. Okay, so we're growing nice and tall, breathing in, take your chin into your throat space. Imagine that chin, a little piece of chalk or a pencil is now drawing a line down the middle of your chest plate or sternum, down the middle of the body as you roll down, pulling that belly button in and up behind the back of the rib cage there as you lower towards your maximum range. Now, when you get to your maximum range, just pause, see how that feels for you. If you want to go ahead and bend the knees, please do. And then eventually, if your hands aren't on the floor already, we will all bend our knees to get the hands to the floor, and then we're walking forwards into a V stretch. Okay, so your hands are coming towards the front edge of the mat. And just going to pause and see how this feels. Again, your head's between your arms, your shoulder blades are pulling back and down, trying to lift your bottom as high up to the ceiling as you can, and perhaps even lifting up those heels as if you're into your highest of high heels there. Okay, all righty, so from here, we are going to see if we can attempt to lift our right leg towards the ceiling. If you know, again, that balance is an issue, you're not comfortable here, you might just want to take a small stretch of your leg behind you. Perhaps you can breathe in, exhale, and go ahead and lift that right leg up as high as you can behind you, and then bring that leg back down. We're going to switch, breathing in, either a small lift behind you, or go ahead and lift that left leg now towards the ceiling, and pause there. If that is enough for you, you're not comfortable in this position, you can pause, bend your knees, and pop back down into child's pose. Or one more time on the right, lifting your leg On the right, trying to stay aligned still, all the things you've just worked on with the hips being in alignment in our hinge. Think of that alignment of the hips, try not to turn out to the side at the moment. And then for everybody, just pausing, bending your knees as they float back down towards the floor and settling into a small child's pose-ish position, whatever is comfortable for you in that rest position. Taking the weight off the wrist. If you need to wrist rotate, go ahead now and just take that opportunity to draw small circles at the wrist. Okay, alrighty, so we're going to bring ourselves to the center of the mat, sitting facing forwards. So you can be in a cross-leg position. Alrighty, perhaps if that's not comfortable for you, you might prefer to be with your legs out towards the front. Okay, so your legs are slightly open and away towards the front. But what I'm looking at is this section here, the section in the middle of your body. Okay, so I'm going to try and think about that anchoring that we've talked about before, that you've got two positions that are anchored. Okay, for us currently, it's going to be the top of our head and it's going to be the lower part of our pelvis here. Alrighty, popping the hands onto your knees, however you're sitting. We're going to try and see if you can find some circling, some movement through this midsection of the body. Okay, so this is kind of a contemporary look at Pilates. What we're trying to do is just look towards getting a little bit more flow into it, not necessarily thinking too much about where you are exactly, but just finding some flow. So popping the hands lightly on your knees, and I want you to think if you can just think about circling your midsection of your body around. So whatever visual works for you, perhaps you like to think about channeling some sort of inner vortex where perhaps you can imagine the water heading down the sink, that sort of sensation. Perhaps you like to think about you're going back to the sense of a bowl scooping out, a spoon scooping out in a mixing bowl. You're trying to get around the edges of that mixing bowl with your rib cage, with your middle. Okay, we're going to try and head the opposite direction. Sometimes that's easier, sometimes it's more tricky. And your sense of moving this middle of your body, maybe 360, not necessarily by rotating it when we talk about wringing out a face off, but just moving it and circling it around, much like we did with our knees. That same sense of circling as we've just done with our wrists. If you're wrist rotating, exactly the same, rotating through your mid-spine, finding a bit more flow and movement and coming back through to your center. Wonderful. Okay. So folks, we're going to come into a high kneel. If you do have any issues with your knees, please go ahead and find yourself a cushion, a small cushion or a towel. We're not going to hang out directly on these knees to begin with. So we're going to just move slightly towards the side. So it's just going to be towards the left-hand side of the mat if you can-ish, maybe about a third of the way along and 2/3 out towards the right. Okay, so folks, we're going to head into what we call our side plank preparation piece, okay? So we're going to have a little bit of work on this right shoulder. We're not going to be hanging out here very long. Okay, so first things first, I'd like you to do is just bend through the middle and pop this right arm down. Now your right arm is going to head a little bit further out towards the side, okay? And ordinarily at this point, we think about perhaps supporting ourselves with our top foot out towards the side as well. We're going to try and avoid doing that today. We're going to think about heading our hand right out towards the right, and we're going to actually start to lift our left knee off the floor, so a little bit more onto the right leg. So it looks a little bit like this, okay? It's quite a strong piece. If you struggle with having all your weight on this arm or shoulder, you're more than welcome to just bring your arm in slightly and not feel like you're quite so much out there on this leg. So you've got a bit more of a curve in your body and spreading the weight. I won't let you hang out here too long. Otherwise, go out and reach through the torso, reach through the hips and lift your top arm towards the ceiling. Okay, from here we're going to breathe in. We're going to exhale and take this top arm and just post it underneath the armpit, touching the mat, looking with you towards the back of the mat, and then come back into your T position with the breath in. Exhale down. Now, if you find that this is also a struggle for you, you can go ahead and take your lower leg arm down to a forearm. Okay, that might be another modification. Or as I said before, just lifting a little bit of weight off that arm might also help. Okay, so your shoulder isn't quite so directly over your hand. Okay, we've got 4 more. As we breathe, we have our arm towards the ceiling. And then as we exhale, we post our arm underneath into rotation. Last 2. And down. Last 1. And down. Well done. Pausing there. Okay. From here, we're just going to pause. Lift your hips towards the ceiling as you pop your right hand down towards the mat. Lift. And I beg my left hand towards the mat, lift back to center. Take a big knee step towards the left. Got my rights and lefts wrong. I beg your pardon. The right side of the mat, and about 2/3 of the mat available to you there over on the left. Okay. The same side, same thing going on. We've got the hand towards the left, heading towards the mat. Just exploring how you feel, maybe heading a little bit out of the way, and that might be enough for you to just work here. Okay. Alternatively, if this shoulder is an issue for you, remember you can head down into your forearms, but let's go head out towards the side to begin with, and then you can drop to forearm. Left arm crawling away slightly if you can, your right knee slightly lifting off the mat as you come into either a reached out position, okay, with your arm towards the ceiling into a T, or as I say before, you can lift your hips slightly and have the shoulder slightly out of alignment from the hand. Alrighty, from here you can choose as well if you want to head down into that forearm. Otherwise, it's a breath in, grow nice and tall, lift through the crown of the head, and exhale as you rotate. And for all of us, we're looking to look behind us, rotate through the waist and up through the ceiling with the breath in. Grow through the crown of the head and exhale. So we're doing 6 in total, so we have 4 more here. Choose your options, breathing in and exhale. This is our last 2. Grow nice and tall. Exhale. And our final one. And exhale. Gorgeous. One more time. We're going to pop our top hand down on the floor. Gently walk ourselves back into high kneel. And bring yourself back to center. Fabulous. Swiveling now down the length of the mat. Okay. So we're going to head into 4-point kneeling. Alrighty. We're going to be doing a little bit of a movement challenge, okay? So what's going to happen now is we're going to channel a little bit of our inner boinginess, that same sense of finding the flow with our circling of the center. But we're going to use this in a slightly pull-back version of our bottom towards our heels. So I want you to tuck your toes under. I want you to know now where we are in 4-point kneeling, that there's a wall against the top of your head here, okay? So you can't come any further forward than where your head is currently. Alrighty. I want you to just tuck those toes under, bring the belly to spine, shoulder blades back and down away from your ears. Dig into the heels of your hands, okay? Just at the heel there, just around about the wrist area. And pull your bottom back towards your heels. So you're pulling the bottom, but you're also really digging into those heels. You've got quite an energetic pull back. Okay, come back forwards and then pop your head in against that imaginary wall. Okay, breathing in, exhale, push into the heels of the hands, pull in the belly button, and with energy, pull your bottom back towards your heels, the toes are tucked under, and bring yourself back. Okay, so we're going to pause to the heels, so the bottom towards the heels. So pause the bottom towards the heels this next time, and just start bouncing a little bit there, just a small little bounce. Now, it's this boinginess, okay, that I want you to just think about. This boinginess, you're going to do 3 little boings, 3 little bounces, and then exhale with speed and bring yourself back to the start position with your head on the wall. So it's just a 1, 2, 3, and then exhale, and with speed, pop yourself back, whack on the brakes, and pause. Okay, so let's try that again. Back we go with a breath in. 3 boings, and then back and pounce forwards. Well done. Back we go. 1, 2, 3, 2, 3, and forward stop. And pull yourself back with intention. Push into the heels and stop. And we head back. 1, 2, 3, and stop. Okay, pausing here. Now, you may find that this point is a challenge too much, but we're going to see if we can actually lift our knees off the floor. We've done our lifts before. You're looking to head directly up towards the ceiling, so the knees just come and lift off the mat by about 1 or 2 centimeters, and let's go ahead and see if we can draw back. Push into the heels, pull the bottom back towards your heels with a breath in and out, so out for 3, and then back into your head against the wall, pushing back for 3 boings. Find that lovely boinginess, and then forwards with power and stop. We've got 2 more. Your knees can be down if this is not for you, or you can pause in your child's pose if you wish to just rest and catch up. And this is our last one. Everyone knees back down, flattening your toenails on the floor, and ease your bottom towards your heels with a child's pose. Okay. So we are going to be taking this into a child's pose, into an active piece. What I will ask you to do now is get to the point where you can be as much of a child's pose as you can, so your arms are straight, okay? So it might be that your bottom is still towards the ceiling, but I'd like you to have your arms elevated off the mat as opposed to elbows down, which sometimes we do. So get to where you can be, as I say, where your bottom is as far back as it will go to the heels, but your arms are elevated. Okay. Think about your left hand now for me, please. Your left hand is going to mobilize. It's going to slide forwards whilst staying straight. Your right elbow is going to pop down towards the floor, and it's going to just be kind of halfway between the heel of your right hand and knee. So I'm going to demonstrate quickly to show you if you want to peep over this way. So right elbow is going to head down towards the mat as my left arm stays straight and travels forwards, and I'm going to reach as far as I can with this left arm. This right arm is supporting me here. I'm then going to dig into this right arm with a breath in, exhale, and drag, really drag this left hand as if it was pulling through treacle back to a start position, and then both arms elevate. So let's do that together. Both arms are currently off the mat. As you slide your left arm forwards in a straight arm position, your right elbow bends and digs down onto the mat just underneath your chest. The left arm keeps traveling forwards as far as you can go, and you feel like you're having to perhaps put all the weight onto that left shoulder. If it's too much, don't go so far. Bring the range slightly back. Breathing in, exhale, dig into your right elbow and pull as well this left hand as if it's through the stickiest, gloopiest mud or treacle ever, back into your start position, and then lift your right elbow so you remind yourself to start with both arms lifted. Breathing in, exhale, send that left arm forwards, right elbow digs down and reach forwards with a breath in. When you're out towards your maximum range, exhale, drag that arm back in, using your rib cage, using your tummy, using your belly, pelvic floors, everything to draw back in. Okay, so we've got 3 more, guys. Breathing in, slide the arm forwards, exhale, pull everything in your core to drag that arm back as if it was a completely dead arm. It can't help you at all. Or as if there was a sandbag attached to your fingertips there on the left. Drag it back in one more time. Send your left arm forwards, breath in, exhale, pulling back, and lift both elbows and pause. We're switching sides. So this time your right arm slides forward, left elbow bends to the mat, right arm stays straight. See how you feel on this side, breathing in. Exhale, use your core, don't use just that elbow to drag the arm back in. Lift the elbows to prepare, breathe in, exhale, send the left arm down, right arm slides forwards. Remember, there should be no bent right elbow. There should be no bumping and jumping because you're pulling in from your core, your tummy, your ribs. Okay, this arm just simply comes along for the ride. As you come forwards, breath in and exhale for 3 more. That's 3, last 2. And then we finish off with our final one here, sending your arm forwards. See if you get a little bit millimeter, a little tiny bit further if you can. Breathing in, exhale, pull down with the rib cage, armpit, tummy, everything that works for you, and bring yourself back here. Wonderful. Okay, so we're coming forwards now into a triangle position and 4-point kneeling. Okay. Righty, from here, I just want you to think about tucking your chin into your throat space. So I would like you to think about lifting your mid-spine towards the ceiling, pull your belly button in, and pull your tummy, your pubic bone towards your nose into a cow stretch, and opening out that back towards the ceiling. Pause here. Wonderful. Alrighty, bring your legs a little tiny bit closer if you can. I'd like you to take your right leg and extend it out to the back of the mat behind you. Let me shuffle forwards. Okay. Now we've done wag the tail previously. I'm going to talk this through. We're going to do this with a single straight leg. So I'd like you to lift your right leg now, if you can, up towards, roughly speaking, bottom height. Take your right leg now out towards that back right corner of your mat. And I'd like you to take a look over your right shoulder. And if your body twists slightly, that is fine. And on your shoulders dip slightly, that's fine. Look out and see if you can see that right toe out there. Okay, bring yourself back to center, looking down towards your hands, squaring up, shoulder blades back. Send your toe towards your left back corner of the mat. Look over your left shoulder. Okay, bring yourself back to center. One more time over to the right corner with your toes, looking over your right shoulder. And bring your leg back to center. Square yourself up with a breath in. Exhale, leg towards the left corner. Look over the left corner of your left shoulder. And come back to center, bring your knee underneath you. Slightly more central as before, so slightly narrower than your hip width. Take your left leg out away behind you, breath in. Tummy button in, looking down towards the hands, shoulders back and down, lifting your leg to bottom height. If you can, out towards the left now, back left corner of your mat, look over your left shoulder. Okay, so you're not looking to send this leg and then back over now and towards the right. Not looking to send this leg super high towards the ceiling. You're thinking of keeping it kind of in parallel to the floor, so it's the same height as your bottom. Again, one more time to the left. So you're trying not to head out and turn out. You're not trying to get this leg super high. You're trying to get out towards your side as much as possible, feeling the stretch through the waist, through your middle, breathing in. Final time to the right corner of your mat, looking over your right shoulder. Again, you're not dropping the leg towards the floor unless that's as far as you can get the leg lifted, then that is fine, okay? And then bring yourself back to center and pause here. Final little child's pose, just a momentary one because you're rolling over onto our backs. So when you're ready, bringing yourself over and into your supine lying position, okay? So we're lying down. Do pop any cushions or towels or whatever you would like to behind the back of your head. Okay, that is not a problem. And just lying here for a moment, just reset, revisit your body, how you feel lying down on the mat. Make sure your head for the moment is fairly close up towards the end of the mat above you. Okay, so you've got a bit of space towards the end there, the lower end of the mat. Shoulder blades are back and down, arms are broad and relaxed, and palms are facing towards the mat. You're looking to find a little bit of imprint. So you're looking to see if you can just gently allow that space in your lower back to squash down into the mat. So you've got that imaginary Malteser that was there, and it's now absolutely flattened down underneath that lower spine on the mat. Lift your left leg, please, into tabletop. Check in again in that tummy, check in the pelvic floor area. Lift your right leg into tabletop and point your toes gently. If you know that you come into cramp, you can slightly point the toes and then lift the toes to the ceiling. So you're almost in point, but you've just taken a little bit of a lock off the toes, okay? If you are able to do pointing, then go ahead and point the toes. You're going to breathe in, and we're going to imagine that this knee stays at 90 degrees, and you have to let the thigh bone come away from the upper body, and you're just going to tap your toe to the floor and then bring yourself back into tabletop. Breath in, and on the left leg, tapping the toe to the floor. We're switching side to side and back in. So once you've got that sense of that knee staying at 90 degrees, yeah, so it's not just a flick of the heel to the bum. It's not a reach out to the end of the mat yet. Check in on that little Malteser. See how you feel, okay? See how much when you let this leg head away from your pelvis or from the upper body, how much you have to remind yourself to keep pulling that belly in to stabilize this pelvis. Otherwise, the pelvis just wants to tilt with it, okay? And then you have that arch in the lower back, and we've got no connection down the front of the tummy. We've got no connection in our deep inner trunk muscles or core. So we're going to pause here this next time we're at tabletop and flick our toes now towards the ceiling. So you've got a flexed foot or dorsiflexed foot, and you've got a right angle at the ankle. Again, checking in the belly button. Same thing, this time touching down with a heel and back to center. Breathing in, exhale. Okay, well done. Breath in, switching side to side. And last two. And final one, coming back to center, pausing here. Okay, so what I'm going to ask you now to do is to do what I just said not to do. And I'm going to ask you to actually reach now your heel towards the end of the mat, not so that the leg extends and straightens, but just much further around. So tapping right towards the end of the mat and bringing that leg back into tabletop. Breath in, exhale. Now slightly extend that leg out and tap and back in. Breath in, exhale, and out we go with a touch down and back in. So as I say, you're not looking to straighten the leg, you're looking to tap that heel further away and just again challenge that core even more because you've lengthened the leg. Okay, so a little bit harder to keep that lower back in control. So if you're finding that that's too much, again, just tap a little bit closer. And this is our last two, reaching further away, final one. And then pause here, tabletop. Bring your legs together, pop your hands over, fingertips over your kneecaps, release the heels towards your bottom, and bring your knees into your chest. A small roll from side to side might give you a little bit of a massage release, or small circles with the knees. Gorgeous, well done. And pause there. Place both feet down. Okay, from here we're going to now walk our legs towards the end of that mat, so exactly where you were with the heels a moment ago. So perhaps you can feel the far edge of the mat there and flex the toes one more time towards the ceiling. Now you're going to have to dig your heels in a little bit here and bring your knees together. Okay, bring your knees and heels together. Alrighty. So what I want you to do here is just first of all, just do some simple pelvic tilts. So start to feel that pelvis tilting. With the legs being further away, it should make this actually fairly easy because you've allowed yourself some space to tilt the pelvis, but also naturally because those legs are away, your pelvis wants to tilt, okay, to join in with the position of the legs. Okay, so you should be able to enjoy a little bit of lumbar flexion and extension here by tucking the belly bone and tucking the belly in, pulling the pubic bone towards you, heading into a bit of flexion and extension as we lift the back away from the mat. Last two, pelvic tilts forwards and backwards. And final one. Okay, so you're going to find a kind of neutral position, all right? So you're not jumping down into imprint, and equally, you're not pulling up into a belly button towards the ceiling, big curve into flexion of the, flexion of the back. So kind of halfway house, finding that neutral spine. Zipping the knees together, finding a small amount of pull in from the pelvic floor. Okay, so just engage this midline of the body. What I'm going to ask you now to do is to imagine yourself doing a very small low bridge. So we're stepping into these arms nice and strong, chin into your throat space, breathe in. Now pushing that lower back in towards the mat, lifting the pubic bone, lifting the lower part of your bottom off the mat. You won't get very far. Only a small lift, perhaps into the lower rib cage, and then releasing back down slowly into a neutral position where your bottom is down and your pubic bone is slightly pushed away and you're into neutral spine. Breathing in, dumping down into that low spine into imprint, lifting your pubic bone, lifting the bottom cheeks, and finding perhaps the low rib cage. Breathe in, exhale, sink that mid vertebrae down onto the floor and into neutral spine. One more time, breath in, exhale, lift. If this is really not for you, then you're more than welcome to put those feet back up by your bottom for this final one and do a standard bridge, releasing back down, down, down. Pause, 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 and relax the toes and feet. Walk the heels back in towards your bottom. Okay. We're going to take our right leg and just pop it over the left knee. Okay. Nice and easy to begin with. Fantastic. So from here, we're going to go into our figure of four glute lift. This is working a lot on the stabilizers of the pelvis. This is not now looking to peel up. We're looking to just lift this back as if it's one flat piece. Okay, so step your arms into the mat. Stand strong through these arms. Stand strong through your left supporting foot. Breathe in. Exhale, lift your bottom off the floor and send your hips towards the sky. And you're now up perhaps into your lower rib cage area or your shoulder blades. And then we're going to lower it in a flat back as well, kissing the floor with the glutes back on the floor with the breath in. Exhale as you lift and lower. So we're just lifting and lower, repeating now. We're not trying to peel up or peel down. We're just lifting and lowering. We're trying to not let this right buttock cheek sag down to the floor. So you're still trying to keep that right bottom cheek upwards so your hips are slightly aligned and up towards the ceiling. But you're really finding this is quite heavy work on this left bottom cheek. Now, if this is not for you again, taking the feet both back onto the floor will be a more stable version for you. And you can still do the lowers and the lifts. We've got 4 more. And 3. And 2. And last one. Back down with the bottom on the floor, placing your right foot down, just pause in neutral spine. Okay, left foot, go ahead now, cross onto your right thigh. All right, again, see how you feel on this side. If you want to, both feet can be back down if you would rather for your second set. Otherwise, stand into the arms, chin into your throat space. Breathing in, exhale, lift your bottom off the floor, flat back lift, pushing your right hips towards the ceiling, squeeze the right glutes and lower down with a kiss of the bottom on the floor. With a breath in, exhale, lift and lower back down. Still trying to think of that left hip staying nice and high so it's not sinking down, making the right buttock cheek do quite a lot of work here, okay? So it's doing all the work as you lift and lower. We breathe in, down, we exhale up and down. We've got 3 more. Well done. And 2. And final one. Pausing with the bottom this time next down on the mat. Place your left foot on the floor. Pop your knees into your chest and gently hold around your shins. Again, circling the lower back if you wish, just rolling around the lower back area. Okay, and opposite direction. Awesome rocks from side to side. Okay, placing your feet back down on the mat. Alrighty, so folks, I'd like you to extend your right leg now towards the end of the mat. Okay. And we're going to really think about reaching that leg nice and long now. You might feel again there's some small space in the lower leg, lower back there. That is fine. Okay, so you're into neutral spine. And I want you to really reach that right leg nice and long. So you've got to stretch the thigh bone out the hip socket there. Dorsiflex the toes, so your toes are pulling up to the ceiling, and then your into point toe. So just going to flex and point here for a moment as you just explore the stretching through the front and back of the leg. But in this lovely open position, you've got no inhibitions, you've got nothing getting in the way of the hips, so you can really reach this leg and thigh bone nice and long out of the hip socket as you stretch and point, flex and point. Last two. And last one. Fantastic. Relaxing the spine, draw your right leg in, taking the left leg out, reach along the end of the mat. Again, reaching and stretching. Allowing a little bit of space in the lower back, that is fine. Once you've got a lovely stretched leg, pause and pull your toes towards your kneecaps or dorsiflexion at the ankle. Head into point and then dorsiflexion from point to ankles to dorsiflexion ankles. Point and flex. And each time reaching the hip, remember, okay, it's not just about the ankle there, it's about stretching the thigh bone, reaching out of the hip socket there, making some space, as well as stretching the leg muscles at the front and back there. For 3, for 2, and our final one. Well done. Pausing there, bring that left foot back in, and draw your knees into your chest. A small rock from side to side, or small circles again around those around the lower back. Wonderful. Okay, so folks, we're going to lie onto our sides now. So rolling onto your side. We're going to start off with our lower leg bent towards the front of you, roughly 45 degrees, okay? Not up towards the front up here, but you're looking to have your knees out towards the front edge of the mat and heels kind of in alignment with your bottom out to the side, to the end of the mat and the side of you there. Your supporting arm is going to be a forearm for the first piece. We're not going to stay on this arm particularly long. Okay, so we are doing a second set of side lift pieces. We will be here, then we'll be down and off the arms shortly. So don't worry, we're not going to hang out here too long. Alrighty, so just as we did the high kneel version, when we went into our supported side plank, you're going to still think about growing through the crown of the head. Alrighty, shoulder blades back and down, a bit of a lift of the rib cage. Alrighty, and taking your top arm up towards the ceiling. Okay. Now, as with all things, there are lots of levels with this side lift, okay? So first level for us this morning is just working on simply lifting the top leg towards the ceiling, and that might be enough if you don't want to come into any work on this shoulder, okay? So you can just keep everything active, so you're still imagining that starting point of the hip lift, but you can just work with your clam, lifting the top knee towards the ceiling. Okay. Our second level will be working on both knees staying towards the floor and working on lifting our hips towards the ceiling, just slightly pressing down through this elbow, down into the mat, lifting fingers towards the ceiling and lowering with a kiss to the floor. So let's go ahead. We're going to do 6 repetitions of this hip lift towards the ceiling and down. Now, it's very tempting to roll forward onto your knees and lift your bottom cheeks to the sky. I want you to think about that's not the case. You're lifting the top hip towards the ceiling as if the lower hip was just coming straight up underneath it. Lift with your rib cage and find that movement we had when we were doing our lovely little circles and we were sat. Remember at the beginning we were mobilizing through the spine. Find the movement through this midsection of the body as you lift and lower. And this is our last one, and pause the bottom down there for a moment. Okay, let's just go ahead and just head off the arm for a second. Lift your head, and if you want to slump the ribs down, that is fine. Okay, so the guys who are working with your legs lifted, if you want to carry on that is fine. Those who are lifting up with our hip, we're going to do a second version, but we're going to add in our arm into arc. So back up with the ribs lifting, grow through the crown of the head. If you are heading with your clam, you are heading with your leg to the sky as your arms come overhead. For those who are lifting, we are lifting our hips as the arms come overhead. And down into javelin, breath in, arms in T, and over we go. Good. And down. We've got 4 more. Breathing in, either lifting your top knee and arm or lifting the hips. Last 2. And final 1. And pause there. Okay, we're going to just head down and take a little bit of weight off this shoulder for a moment, and then we will come back and revisit that side lying in a moment. Okay, at which point we can make decisions. Okay, so you're going to sideline with your underneath arm extended. So just taking weight off that shoulder altogether. And your legs are going to now slide out towards the end of the mat. You're down the middle of the mat. Just this top front hand is just supporting you gently in front of the belly button. Try not to roll down and dump onto it. Okay, it's really just a little tiny mini kickstand or stabilizer there, no more than that. Legs are really super long. We're going to ask both legs to see if they can lift off the mat. And if you start doing that and feeling like the only thing you can do is roll onto your bum to lift both legs, try and think perhaps about just doing your top leg lift and then just see if that bottom leg lift will just hover slightly. Perhaps the gluing them together might be just too much for you. So repeat that option. You lift the top leg only, or you lift the top leg and then just see if you can have a little tiny bit of lift when the bottom leg is on its own and the top leg is out the way. Otherwise, both legs are staying together. You're breathing in, exhale, and lifting those legs to your side and lowering. Gluing those legs together with a breath in and they're down. Exhale as you lift. And breathing in, exhale. And down. And lifting and lowering. We're going to just do 2 more. And after the second one, we're holding the legs elevated. So pause and hold. Legs are here. So you may be here, you may be with the first team who have the leg towards the ceiling. If you're first team, you're looking to just pulse your leg towards the ceiling a tiny few millimeters higher with a pulse. For those guys who are double leg lifted, you're going to stay here and try and then from here lift the top leg and lower. So the bottom leg doesn't move, that is still lifted to its maximum range for you. And you're just going to lift and lower the top leg for 4. For those guys who are pulsing, you're just doing your small extra lift. Otherwise, it's 2 and it's a 1. Everything comes back down and rest here for a moment. Gorgeous. Okay, so from here we are going to come up into our lift. Let's lift up into our forearm position, but we're not going to jump onto this for the moment. We're going to do a little bit of work with plie. Okay, so you can let the ribs shift down slightly if you wish. Okay, so we're going to just draw our top leg in, knee in towards your shoulder, toe pointing towards the inside edge of your kneecap. If you do struggle with this position because of the hip issues, you're more than welcome to head down to sort of the halfway house between the two where your head is just supported. Do you know what? I'm going to get you all, because you've been doing some work before, I'm going to get you all down here. Let's get all of us down here into this sideline position. Hands just supporting the head there. Okay. Toe is in towards the inside edge of your low kneecap. Now we're drawing this top knee in towards the shoulder and then just touching back down with a breath in. Exhale as you draw the knee into the shoulder, touch back down onto the kneecap, breathing, the inside edge of the knee joint. Okay, breathing in when you're touching the knee joint, exhale as you draw the knee in. Last 2. And we're going to pause with the knee in towards the shoulder here. Okay, team, so we're going to see if we can just now allow the toes to tap behind the knee. And then we breathe in and we touch in front of the knee. Breathing in, knee to shoulder, tap behind. Breathe in, knee to shoulder, tap behind, front. Well done. That's 4 more. And 3. And 2. And 1. Gorgeous. Well done. Just sliding your legs out towards the end of the mat. Okay, so we're going to go into our final piece of our lift. So I'm going to get you back up onto your forearm. Draw your knees in and then back up into your side arm position. Okay, so we're looking to do our lift of the hips, and we're adding in the arc arm. Okay, for those of you who are doing your clam, that is absolutely fine to stay in clam. I beg your pardon, we're in forearm, sorry. Oh, I've got my arms on middle. I do apologize. So we're going to be forearm. That's right. We're just protecting the shoulder a little bit. For those of you in clam, you're more than welcome to continue. For those who are looking to do the hip lift, okay, again, we can come into the hip lift and we have an add on. So get yourself into your elevated position. Perhaps it's a clam, perhaps it's your hip lift. Let's go ahead and pause here. Alrighty. So you may be in clam. You may be in with your hip lift. If you're in either, I would like you to go back into your arc so we can all add in the arc. And for all of us now, if you wish, you can add on the single leg extension and reach out. As you come back into your first position, You then drop back down onto the floor, or both knees are to the floor. Okay, does that make sense? So go into your first leg lift. It might be a leg lift and into clam, into clam and into extension. It may be a hip lift, and then you reach over into arc and let that leg reach out and straight down the middle of the mat for the whole of the body. Come back down, breath in. Lift and extend. And down. Lift and extend and reach. Lift with the ribs, lift with the hips. You can get a little bit more height, please, as you lift and stretch. Arc, pushing up almost underneath that rib cage area, underneath the waist. For those in clam, you're just lifting. And again, that sense of reaching, stretching, lifting the rib cage, lifting that top armpit is also available to you. This is our last one. Reach and stretch, and pause down. Everyone pausing down, 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 switching sides over towards the other side. Forearm position. Let's get this right this time. Okay, so your knees are bent, you're on your forearms, and we're going to do start positions first on this side, checking out how the right shoulder feels, or the other shoulder. As long as you've switched onto the other one, that is cracking. So knees are towards the front edge of the mat. Heels, and remember, those are pretty much in alignment with your bottom. So if they're swung out to the back there, it's too far. Just check down. They're pretty much down the same line as their bottom cheeks. Okay, so remember, first things first, the knees can stay down, and let's just see how you feel on this side with this hip as you lift that top leg. The bottom stays down, and that might be enough for you. That might be enough, and you're perfectly happy here. And just remember that as well when we come to the revisit at the end, just staying down with the bottom. Otherwise, lifting your arm towards the ceiling. Okay, knees stay together, and we're going to breathe in. The knees stay down as you lift your hip and press the hip and the rib cage towards the sky, lower back down. Remember, it's important not to be rotating down towards the floor. Yeah, keep that back shoulder blade. Imagine the shoulder blade behind you staying exactly where it is, and it, well, as in plane of movement. It's not coming forwards or backwards. It's just sliding up and down as well, just as your rib cage lifts, just as the hips lift towards the ceiling and lower. We've got 4 more. Space in this lower shoulder, please. Lifting, try not to dump down into it. Feel you pressed up from that lower arm and down. Last 2 as you lift and lower. And our final one before we have a little bit of a pause. And pause there. Okay, as I said before, just gently relax yourself into this position for a moment. So you might want to dump down at the rib cage, dump into the shoulder, whatever feels comfy for a moment. Okay, alrighty, so we're adding in the arm. It is just the arm, no leg, before we do the leg piece at the end. Okay, so we just break it down slightly. So if you're adding into your arm with the clam, it will look like this. As the leg heads up towards the ceiling, the arm goes overhead, and then you come back into T with your shoulder blades down, and you're pulling through the crown of the head. For those who want to elevate the hips, let's go ahead. Up we go with our hips off the floor and over into arc. As the bottom touches down, arm into T, grow through the crown with the breath in. Exhale and over into arc and down. So you're in a clam and arc, or you're in a hip lift and arc, you choose. The question I'm asking is, are you staying long through the spine? Are you lifting from the waist, or are you just rotating to look at the front hand? Are you still actively thinking that you're down the middle of your mat? Are you really lifting that top leg and opening into clam, mobilizing that lovely top outside edge of your hip? Last one. I'm sure there's a tick for everybody in all those boxes, and release and pause. Okay, fantastic. Allow that right arm now to extend out, and along the mat, your top arm is just supporting you like a little kickstand, and legs along by your side. Again, depending on your hips for the double leg lifts, you can choose if you want to just leg lift at the top, or you can leg lift and see if the bottom guy wants to slightly hover. That is your add-on. Or for those who can do double leg lift, go ahead and double leg lift to the side now. Breathing in and exhale as you lift and lower. Again, shoulder blades pulling back and down. So you've got a good sense of almost a braking system behind you, stopping you from rolling onto your bottom cheeks, okay, and from folding forwards. And lift and lower. We've got 4 more. Long legs still reaching, glue those guys together. Last 2. And final one. Pause and hold if you have both legs lifted, so it looks pretty much like this. If you are with your top leg only lifted, you are here. Okay, you are going to be pulsing your top leg towards the ceiling. For those guys in double leg lift, I want you to lift that top leg a little bit away from the lower leg. The lower leg stays where it is. Lift the top leg only and lower. Okay, really pull on that tummy button in, pull the shoulder blades down, take out some of the weights. It's not all in the hips. That will help you hugely from dumping down into the hips and glutes. You're feeling fairly balanced on this lower hip here, I hope. Okay, last 3. Or if you're pulsing, just keep pulsing for our last 2. And this is our final one, guys. And pausing those legs down, down, down. Well done. Okay. So from here, we're going to bring ourselves up into we decided to modify slightly, didn't we? Just our lower forearm position, the head just supported by the hand. Okay, so the top knee comes up towards the ceiling as you slide that lower toe in towards your knee joint. It might not be that far. Okay, it might just be your calf muscle. That is fine. You might not be able to get your knee up towards the ceiling. So wherever it's comfortable, to just draw that leg in slightly to a bent position. From there, we breathe in, exhale, and draw that top knee in towards your shoulder. And then you touch to your start position with a breath in. Exhale, knee into shoulder, and touch to that start position. So you're looking either the inside edge of your knee joint, or perhaps the inside edge of your lower calf muscle. But it's a breath in, and as you exhale, still thinking long thoughts out the top of your head. So you don't crunch down towards the knee. You stay perfectly still and draw the knee to you using your exhale and the core. Okay, so that's that drawing in of the knee. That's it. Well done. Last 2. And after this last one, we're pausing with the knee in towards the shoulder here. Okay, changing your breath pattern slightly. We breathe in and we exhale as we touch the toe behind the leg or the knee or wherever you can, just in that area behind you, slightly draw the knee in with a breath in, and then you exhale, touch in front of your lower leg where you can. Breath in. So you're just working a little bit more deeply into the range of movement of this hip. Okay, well done. Still trying to face forward, still trying to think about growing through the crown of the head, not dumping too much down into that lower waist. Well done. Keeping it spacious, breathing in, knee to shoulder, exhale, tap behind and in front. Last 2. Last 1. And then pause there, extending that leg out towards the end of the mat. Well done. Okay, so heading back up into our forearm position, knees coming back in. Remember, your knees are to the front edge of the mat and heels in alignment with your bottom. So you can choose whether you're clamming or whether you're hip lifting, and we're going to add in our leg extension. So we've hopefully got a bit of a break on that shoulder. Lift the rib cage, grow nice and tall. Remember, push down into that upper arm, so you've got the sense of space in the shoulder. Arm towards the side and go ahead and up into T for preparation. Well done. When you're ready, breathe in, choosing clam or choose your hip lift. And whichever one you have gone for, we're then going to add on arc, arm and leg extension. Reach and lift a little bit more through that waist and then come back into your start position. Breath in. Exhale. Lift. Lifting from that top armpit, almost trying to think of that rib cage heading itself up towards the ceiling, lifting that inside of your top waist there as high as you can. Breath in. Exhale. Lift. Space in that lower shoulder still, so please don't dump down in between, keeping it nice and extended and airy. We have 3 more. And 2. Resting if you'd like to. And our final one. Here. Reach, stretch, lift, lift, lift. And bring yourself back down. Okay, onto your tummy spokes. You're going to have your forehead on the mat, hands down by your sides for a final piece of prone work, and down on our fronts. Okay, so legs are roughly hip width apart. Little fingers are towards the ceiling, please. Thumbs are towards the mat and your palms are facing in towards your thighs. So you've got this dark position. Thinking nice long thoughts through the crown of the head, imagining the spine, everything that's up on the top of the body, closest towards the ceiling and sky there above you. Okay, that is long and spacious, as much as you can afford. Now, from here, bring the belly button in. Feel that sense of lifting the belly button in. And I want you to think about these arms. They're nice and long by your sides. I'd like you to lift your thumbs slightly off the mat, so perhaps your middle finger is more aligned down the side seam of your trousers. From here, that is your start position. From here, you're going to breathe in, exhale, imagine 2 strings on your little fingers and lift those arms towards the ceiling and reach those hands out. So your hands are like paddles. Okay, nice and flat. The thumb comes back down, not all the way to the mat. You breathe in when you're aligned to the side of the thighs. Exhale as your little fingers lift. Okay, breathing in, arms down. Exhale as you lift. As you're exhaling, think about that spine still staying long. Think about the belly pulling in. And think about working from the shoulders, not the elbows. So it's a straight arm lift and lower. We've got 4 more. And down. And 3. And last 2. And after this last one, we're pausing with the arms elevated. Okay, so this is our final one. Lift and pause. Pause with these arms elevated. Make sure the belly is in. Remember, the spine is long, shoulder blades back and down. Make fists at your hands, please. Fists, fists, fists. So your thumbs are currently still facing down towards the mat. Elbows are lifted. The elbows stay high. I want you to bend your elbow so that the thumb just comes down to tap the mat. So you've bent the elbow, and the thumb taps the mat with a breath in. Exhale, now straighten the arms. Stay making fists and continue. We're just going to bend the elbows, touch the floor with the thumbs, and then straighten the arms. With a breath in when you're touching the floor with the hands. Exhale as you straighten the arms. Working there, breathing in, exhale on the triceps specifically. Touch the floor with the thumbs, breath in, exhale, extend the arm. Last 2, breath in, exhale. And final one, breath in, exhale, pausing with the arms lifted. Go ahead and turn the hands now so your palms are faced up towards the ceiling. When you're ready, you are going to breathe in, exhale, hold the arms where they are, and forehead float. Forehead float and lift them, roll the shoulders back, touching the forehead with the floor, breathing in, exhale. Now, if this is getting too much in the arms, okay, we've moved to our lower back now, so maybe the arms just want to just pause. You can perhaps pop the arms down by your sides and just breathing in, exhale, forehead float only for your strength work. Okay, that is fine. If that is also too much in the lower back, is uncomfortable, you can pop your hands back into your standard position with your hands under your forehead and just lift there. Okay, but perhaps a modification is nice for a change. So we're going to pause and lift for 4 more with either the palms towards the ceiling, your fingertips just resting on the floor by your sides, or hands under your forehead for the last 2. Big exhale as you lift. And release back down. Bring the hands for everybody now by the side of your shoulders. Draw your toes underneath so they've tucked under. Breathing in, press into the hands, just gently pulling in the belly to support the lower spine and ease yourself back into 4-point kneeling, please. From 4-point kneeling here, I want you to just pause and think about your middle and your waist. We're going to just roll around that middle or waist. So you're thinking more about making a vortex or circling motion as opposed to cat and cow stretch, as if you're circling this middle of you in like we said, a spoon around a mixing bowl, or a vortex going water down a sink. We're going to head the other way. So again, find just a feeling of flow. It's not too specific. It's allowing each shoulder to move, each hip to just move where it feels comfortable. And then we're going to pause. From here, walk your fingers back towards your toes. I'm not sure if you can all hear the drilling going on outside my house. Anyway, bring your hands back towards your toes. We're coming up into a standing position. So however feels comfortable for you, into a small crouch, popping the heels down, popping your chin into your throat space, walking your hands up your legs if you wish, and straightening the legs as you restart the vertebrae one by one and into the center of our mats, please, folks, for a really super little breath release. Okay, feet in parallel. Pop your hands out towards the ceiling, towards the side of you. Breath in and then sweep back down. Okay, just move those hands while we just let the blood settle and pause. Into a double arm float now, please. Lifting the hands towards the ceiling. Turn the palms away from each other. Press the air down. Grow through the crown of the head. Weight into your heels. One more time. And it's a double arm float towards the ceiling, palms away, down by the side, grow, lift through the crown, reset the shoulder blades back and down, pausing here, weight into the heels. Close your eyes if you wish, and just go ahead and breathe. We've got 2 more breaths. Breathing in through the nose, Feel light and spacious in your joints, in your core. As you exhale, feel in control as you gently engage your core and pelvic floor. As you relax one more time with a breath in, grow tall as you exhale. Just fire up a small activation, a little reminder, refresher of your core. Open your eyes, let everything relax, and we are done. Thank you so much for joining me. I do hope you haven't been too distracted by the drilling, etc., outside and yonder. And take care, folks. I will see you again very soon. Bye-bye.